The creepy doll in Grandma's house. I grew up spending summers at my grandma's house, nestled deep in the countryside. It was a quaint little place with creaky floorboards and walls adorned with memories from decades past. But amidst the warmth and nostalgia, there was always one thing that sent shivers down my spine: the creepy doll. She sat perched on a high shelf in the living room, her porcelain face frozen in a permanent smirk. Her eyes seemed to follow you as you moved around the room, and there was something unsettling about the way her painted lips curved into a smile. According to my grandma, the doll had been a gift from a distant relative many years ago. No one knew much about its origins, except that it was old and had been in the family for generations. But as far back as I could remember, it had always been there, silently watching over us with its unblinking gaze. I tried to avoid the living room as much as possible when I stayed at Grandma's, but inevitably there were times when I couldn't escape it. Late at night, when the house was quiet and everyone else was asleep, I would lie in bed, listening to the creaks and groans of the old building, unable to shake the feeling that the doll was watching me. Strange things would happen when the doll was around. Objects would go missing, only to reappear in odd places days later. Lights would flicker, and sometimes I swore I heard whispering coming from the living room, though when I went to investigate, there was no one there. I tried to convince myself that it was all in my head, that I was just letting my imagination run wild. But deep down, I knew there was something not quite right about that doll. Years passed, and I eventually grew too old for summer visits to Grandma's house. But the memory of the creepy doll stayed with me, haunting my dreams and sending chills down my spine whenever I thought about it. Recently, I heard that Grandma had passed away, and as the family gathered to sort through her belongings, I couldn't help but wonder what had become of the doll. Had it been left behind, still perched on its high shelf, silently watching over the empty house? Or had someone finally had the sense to get rid of it once and for all? As we packed up Grandma's things and prepared to say our final goodbyes to the old house, I couldn't shake the feeling that the doll was still there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for its next unsuspecting victim. And though I knew I would never set foot in that house again, I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief that I would never have to face that creepy doll.